All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're taking a deep dive into one of the most powerful and honestly, one of the most misunderstood personality types out there, the number 8. We're going to go way beyond the stereotypes to get to the heart of what it actually feels like to be an 8. You know, if you're an 8, you've probably heard this your whole life. And if you know an 8, it's likely the first thing you noticed about them. This presence, this sense of strength and authority. And it's not some kind of act. It's woven into the very fabric of who they are. And that right there, that's the big question we're tackling today. Because underneath all that strength, there's a whole other story going on. A story of pressure, of responsibility, of a hidden cost. So what's really happening behind the scenes? Let's pull back the curtain. First up, let's talk about the outer shell. This is the version of the 8 that the world sees, the commander in control that everyone interacts with every day. So this is what you get on the surface. They come across as incredibly strong, focused, and just commanding. They have this natural confidence that tends to take over a room. But here's the thing. That same intense energy can feel really intimidating to other people, even when the 8 has zero intention of being scary. And this really gets to the heart of it. People see this fortress of strength, and they just assume that person doesn't need any support. The stronger the 8 looks, the less people actually check in on them. And that leaves them carrying this enormous emotional weight, all by themselves. Okay, so let's crack open that outer shell and take a look at the inner engine that's driving everything. This is where it gets really interesting. This is the huge disconnect. What looks like effortless control and confidence from the outside, well, on the inside, it feels like constant, relentless pressure. It's this never-ending internal voice saying, I have to keep it all together. If I let my guard down for 1 second, everything could fall apart. It's an incredible weight of responsibility. Now, this pressure doesn't just come from nowhere. It's learned, usually very early in life. An 8 often has experiences that teach them that showing weakness is dangerous, that depending on other people is a huge risk, and that the only surefire way to be safe is to take control yourself. And all those early lessons create this state of constant vigilance. I mean, just imagine your mind is always on, always scanning the room, not because you're paranoid, but because you're looking for risks, for advantages, for power dynamics. Their nervous system is almost never in an off state, and you can imagine how exhausting that is over time. So, how does this inner world actually play out in real life? Let's look at the 2 main arenas where you can really see these dynamics at play: work and relationships. Okay, so at work, this is an A's kingdom. It's where they thrive. Their world revolves around leadership and getting tangible results. They're at their best when they're in charge, when they can call the shots and be judged by the outcome. Put them in a situation where they feel powerless, that is their absolute kryptonite. Now, in relationships, that same protective instinct is front and center. An 8 shows you they love you by protecting you, by providing for you, and by being fiercely, unshakably loyal. They're the person you call at 3 a.m. when you're in trouble. But the flip side of all that strength is a real deep struggle with being vulnerable. For them, letting that guard down feels like the biggest risk of all. So what happens when an 8 gets hurt, especially if they feel betrayed? It's like a switch gets flipped, and this defense sequence kicks in automatically. First, that deep-seated fear of betrayal gets triggered. Instantly, the emotional walls shoot up. They get rigid, they withdraw, and then they retreat to the one place where they feel safe and in control: their work. And this brings every 8 to a major crossroads. They have a choice to make between 2 totally different ways of using all that power they have: the path of their shadow or the path of their true integrated strength. And just look at the difference here. The shadow 8, they're running on fear. They control instead of lead. They become domineering because they think power will keep them safe. But the mature 8, they learn a better way. They lead with this calm, grounded authority. They use their power for good. And they learn that being vulnerable, selectively, is actually a source of incredible strength. And that's really the ultimate lesson for an 8. Realizing that true power isn't about dominating people. It's about being a stabilizing, protective force in the world. When an 8 really gets this, all that inner pressure they feel transforms into this incredible, effective, and grounded authority. So how does an 8 actually get there? What's the path forward? Let's break down the key lessons they have to learn to step into their best, most balanced self. Getting these 5 lessons down is an absolute game changer. First, learning that you can be responsible without having to control every little thing. Then, this huge one, realizing that being vulnerable with the right people actually makes you a stronger leader. Understanding that rest isn't a weakness, it's a strategy. And maybe most important of all, that power is most potent when it serves a purpose bigger than yourself, and that trusting others is the only way to truly expand your influence.
In the end, it all boils down to this single, powerful question. It's a question every number 8 has to answer for themselves. It's the entire journey in a nutshell, moving from using power as a shield just to survive to wielding it as a tool to build something meaningful. Is it all just for control, or is it for something more? The answer to that, well, it changes everything.